Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Not that any of us left, right? Not that any of us left. I don't imagine during a time like this that we are taking a break from the cryptoverse very frequently, right? It seems like with the markets the way they are today, it's hard to focus too much on other things. So I'm just going to post this in a few different places and then we will dive in. All right, so the markets are moving. As we said, thanks for jumping back in the cryptoverse. Not that any of us left. Bitcoin is moving as well. It's up to 33.7 thousand, and Ethereum is more or less following suit. It's back up to almost $1,100, which is pretty significant considering 3 days ago the price was like in the 700s. So and now with Bitcoin climbing as well, now Ethereum is more or less being dragged up by Bitcoin again. It's not doing it's not really outperforming Bitcoin at the moment, but there's nothing wrong, right? I mean, it's getting everything. The whole market is moving up. If you look at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, I imagine it's bleeding, or it has been bleeding. Over the last couple hours, it has gone down from 0.0332 down to a wick of 0.0311. If we take a look at, say, the 5-minute chart, there you can see it. So at 1805, it started going down. What happened at 1805? Let's see what was going on at 1805. This is Bitcoin. What are we looking at here? Ether. Oh, we were looking at a 5-minute chart. We'll switch that to a 5-minute. So what happened at 1805? Well, Bitcoin really got moving. I mean, it was already moving, you could say, but it really got moving here. And during that time period, Ether, Bitcoin bled. Bitcoin has calmed down for the moment. Okay, a healthy Bitcoin, a 33.8 Bitcoin. When we say healthy, I mean it's overextended significantly, but hopefully it'll hold these levels. If Bitcoin starts putting in higher highs, so if Bitcoin goes to 35K, 36K, then watch for the entire market to kind of be put on pause for a little bit. If Bitcoin pauses here and does not continue the run, then the rest of the market, this could be yet another catalyst. So we want to see what Bitcoin does. Note that the all-time high for Bitcoin on this exchange is 34.8K. So if you see us going much above that, then Bitcoin will assuredly steal the show back. And arguably it already has stolen some of it back. If you look at the dominance, this is the dominance right now. So if we look over at, say, the weekly time frame, so far, we've put in more or less a double top, right? More or less a double top. Doesn't mean we can't go above it one day. Doesn't mean that at all. But this was the top back in August of 2019, a little over 73 or so. And then this one had a wick to about 73.5%. We have since come down fairly significantly here. The Bitcoin dominance has dropped from the top. It's dropped 6% to the wick down here. It's dropped 8%. So a pretty significant short-term trend reversal, right? Pretty significant short-term trend reversal. If we go back and look at Ethereum, it's sitting at a modest $1,100. Bitcoin's at 33.8. So the markets are getting pretty heated right now. And not only that, not only is Bitcoin doing well at 33.8, which is about $1,000 off its prior all-time high, Ethereum is, you know, $70 from its local top, right? The global top is over 1400, but its local top is 1166. And as we said, you know, we are very bullish on Ethereum. It's not financial advice, right? This is nothing meant as financial advice, just based on the market, based on historical patterns, historical data, the thesis that Ethereum volatility is one market cycle behind Bitcoin. We have high expectations for Ethereum. And we have had high expectations all year long. You know, I don't know, I mean, most people, since we've had so many new people join recently, you might not remember, but we had a video when Ether was at 235. Does anyone here remember the video? We saw the accumulation phase of a lifetime for Ether at 235. And then we had another accumulation phase of a lifetime video for Ether at 400 or so, 435 or so. That was the reaccumulation phase of a lifetime. And now that seems like ancient history, right? It seems like it's so long ago to think of a 250 Ether or a 400 Ether. And here we are, right? Here we are reaping the rewards, up 5x, up 6x, up 10x if you were buying in March, which hopefully most of you were when it dipped below $100. So the nice thing now is that you have this significant stack of Ether that hopefully your cost basis was relatively low on, and it was the accumulation phase of a lifetime. Now, if you missed out on that accumulation phase of a lifetime, I would say don't fret. There will be more accumulation phases of a lifetime. It's amazing how many accumulation phases of a lifetime there can be in one lifetime. So don't fret. There will come other times where, you know, we get into accumulation phases of a lifetime. With that said, you might wonder, if you're new, is this an accumulation phase of a lifetime at $1,100 Ether, right? Is it? Well, you know, as we've said before, anything from here, anything from here is more of a shorter term speculative gamble, okay? And we had the same thing. We had the same thing back in 2017. You know, if you were the one buying Ether up here at 650 or 900, it was a short-term speculative gamble. You could have made a lot of money, right? If you got in and then you sold a couple weeks later, you could have made a decent amount of money. But in my opinion, you know, when you're coming in up here, we just simply don't know where the top is. Okay, we don't know where it is, and we just simply don't know, right? It's not really an accumulation phase, and you know, an accumulation phase implies that the risk levels are relatively low. If we switch this over to, this is the exchange you want to look at. So generally speaking, these are our accumulation phases, right? We have, you know, accumulation phase here, accumulation phase here, here, and then here, okay? These are our accumulation phases of a lifetime. Once we start printing the Ethereum mountain range, right, our Ethereum mountains, maybe that's our little bunny hill, another little bunny hill, and then we get our Ethereum mountain range up here. Once we start printing these, then in my opinion, we're no longer in the accumulation phase of a lifetime, right? We are in the, you know, printing mountain ranges, and we just don't know how high the mountains are going to extend. So again, if you're purchasing Ethereum now, there's a chance you do well in the short term. There's also a chance you don't. It's not like down here where it's a lot less risky, where we just keep printing little bunny hills and we're more or less just in pure accumulation for months, if not years, right? And those periods can be pretty brutal, because, you know, it's all about, well, what can an Ether do for me today? But as we've said before, bear markets. So bull markets can make you money. So if you're investing in here, it can make you money, right? Or here, it can make you money. But bear markets can make you rich. And the reason why bear markets can make you rich is because now that the media is starting to take note of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Mostly Bitcoin, of course, but because Bitcoin's getting attention, there's going to be money pouring into Ethereum as well, because the media is starting to, to capture this. The prices are significantly moving up. Now, the reason why, if you think about this pragmatically, why is it riskier today than it was, say, 9 months ago, right? Not just from the perspective of, of being in the regression band, right? There's the perspective of being in the regression band. And by the way, we'll keep up Bitcoin as well. We'll turn this over to a log scale, and we'll put on our trusty regression band for Bitcoin. So not only are these, that they're starting to move up, but the reason why it becomes a lot riskier is because you're going up against people who got in an order of magnitude ago, not that long ago, right? So the people that were buying in this region, they're already up 10x basically, around 10x, 9x, 8x, and so I for one can say that despite the fact that my cost basis on Ether is relatively low, I still actually own the majority of my Ethereum. I own almost all of it. Okay, almost all of it. And so because of that, I want to see the price continue higher. Now imagine Ether does like another 2x from here in the short term. Okay, imagine Ether does another 2x from here. Well, the people that got in at 1,000, okay, the people that got in at 1,000, well, they're up 2x, and a lot of the people that probably are coming into the market at 1,000, hopefully are managing their expectations, because they say, oh well, it's already up 10x. We recognize that it's not going to go up like this forever, but momentum is a hell of a drug, and if we get in it and just get on the train for a couple stations, a couple stops, and then we get off, maybe we can squeak out some profits before we cool down for a bit. So imagine a theoretical, there's got to be one universe in the multiverse where Ether goes to, say, $2,500 in the next 3 weeks. We're not saying that's going to happen in this universe, but there's got to be one. Now, suppose it did. Okay, suppose Ether did go to $2,500 or something in the next month, okay, or 3 months, right? Imagine that. Well, then these people coming in here that are hugely speculative gambling, I would like to think, and I could be wrong, that most of these people are not necessarily looking for a long-term investment, right? Most of them are probably not, because if they were, they probably would have been accumulating. It's a different type of investor. It doesn't mean there's not some people coming in here that are new to the space that want to hold for 5 years, but most of the time, if you're coming in up here, it's a different type of investor. It's the ones chasing the short-term gains. So if Ether were to extend to, say, like 2,500 or something, then not only are the short-term investor people that are coming in here looking at a 2.5x, but the people that got in over here are looking at a 25x in a year. Okay, and that's where all the sell pressure comes from. So when you come up here, and you might say, oh well, it's going to go to 10K. Well, hold your horses. It might go to 10K. Is it gonna do it in January or February or March? Almost certainly not. It could, but it's almost certainly not going to 10K in March. So just keep this in mind, that as we continue up this curve, if we continue up, these people down here are already up 10x. So if it goes up 2x from here, they're up 20x. If it goes up to, say, $3,000, they're up 30x. And so you can imagine a $10,000 Ether. The people that were accumulating, which hopefully is a lot of you guys, the people that were accumulating are going to be up, 50 to 100x. And then that's where a ton of sell pressure will come from. And that's what will ultimately lead to a prolonged bear market one day, right? Because you have all these people in the same manner over here. And by the way, the last cycle was like an exasperated version of this, because in the last cycle, if you had bought Ether down here, I mean, again, viewer discretion is advised to think about this. A 50-cent Ether. A 50-cent Ether, okay? If you had bought there and then sold, and you were selling up here, you're looking at a 362,000% move. Now, practically speaking, almost no one in the world was buying down here or selling up here, because the amount of time we spent at that bottom and that top is so minuscule that pretending like that was where everyone in the world could have gotten in is just simply not true, right? Maybe there was a few people that sold it at 14.20 or so, and then there's a few people that bought it at 50 cents, or there's probably a decent amount of people that were buying it at 50 cents. But most of the people buying it at 50 cents probably weren't selling it up here, because even by the time it got to $50, they're up 100x. $500 are up 1,000x. So, one thing to consider, and this is just some practical advice that I think is useful, is to think about it in terms of what's a risky 2x. Okay, when you think about taking profits, what is a risky 2x move? Well, for Bitcoin, going from say 3,000 to 6,000, so if you're purchasing Bitcoin down here or over here, that's a pretty low risk 2x move, right? We're in the accumulation band. It's not like you have to wait that long to see a 2x. So a pretty low risk 2x. To go from 3 to 6. To go from 6 to 12 is still pretty low risk, right? Because we're still in the accumulation band for the most part. 6 to 12, still pretty low risk. 12 to 24, that's a higher risk 2x, but we've done it, right? Check. 12 to 24, and I was buying Bitcoin up to 12, a little over 12K. So from 3 to 6, low risk. 6 to 12, low risk. 12 to 24, pretty low risk if you're buying at 12. 24 to 48, well, it's getting into higher risk territory. 48 to 96, even higher risk, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you think about things in terms of like what their 2x is, and think about how risky the next 2x is, then it can sometimes, it helps me figure out, okay, is it worth it or is it not worth it? And it's not always about exactly where the bottom is or exactly where the top is. It's about your risk adjusted returns. Sorry, we got some trolls. Let me go ahead and turn on slow mode. So again, it's always about how risky it is. And if you think about it, right, imagine you had Bitcoin and you were buying it last market cycle. Okay, imagine you were buying it last market cycle and you were buying it at 200 and you were buying it at 400 and 600 and 800 and maybe you bought it all the way up to $1,000. And then you watched it go to 10K, and I know a lot of people personally that sold at 5K and 10K, because at the time it seemed like reasonable tops, right? It seemed like a reasonable location for a top. A $5,000 Bitcoin back then was up like 25x from the bottom. So that's a pretty significant return. To 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, when it went to 10,000, that was up 50x, a pretty significant return. Now, the danger in pretending like any of us know where the top is when you talk about, say, a 10x or a $10,000 Bitcoin up here, the risk at that level for going to, say, a 20,000, which would be another 2x, the risk on this is a lot higher, right, than exiting the market, right? You just exit the market there, and coming back down here, you reinvest at $3,500, and then it goes to 7K, and that's going from here to here, 3K to 7K would have netted you the same thing had you just held up to 20K. But this one is a lot lower risk. Now, it's not so black and white. Obviously, there's tax complications involved depending on where you live, but everyone always thinks about timing the bottom and timing the top, whereas I think you should look at these, in my perspective, and again, I understand that not everyone will agree with this perspective, and that's okay, but you should look at it in terms of this is a vehicle to grow your wealth. And there's going to be plenty of 2x opportunities. There's going to be plenty of 5x opportunities. And it's always about how risky is it, okay? And you just have to figure out what is you know, where is your risk tolerance, right? Where is your risk tolerance? So, you know, Bitcoin right now, if we pull up the regression rainbow to just look to see where that is, we contend that Bitcoin could continue higher. It could go to 40K, it could go to 50K in the short term. We simply don't know. But if we come back down, right? If we come back down, recognize it for the opportunity it is. There's no guarantee that we're going to come back down to this level. This level now would correspond to 11K up to 19K. No guarantee we ever go back to those levels for Bitcoin, right? There's simply no guarantee, but we could. 11K is probably less likely. 19K seems like it could theoretically be on the cards. You know, it seems like a more plausible scenario at this point. But again, we have this top here, and then we came down to the bottom regression band, and now we've come back up to the top. The question is, are we going to continue extending, right? Or are we coming back down? Now, one thing I want to show you, we got to switch this over to the BLX to properly show you. One thing I want to show you guys, and you know, just pay attention to this really quick. It appears that each cycle, according to this analysis, and by the way, if you're wondering why this says 32K, it's because it shows the closing price, not the live price. The live price of Bitcoin right now is 33.5. So one thing to consider, which gives me a little bit of a hesitation, is that each market cycle top has dropped down 2.5 log lines. Okay, so this was the first top. The next top was here, and it dropped down 2.5. So 1, 2, and then this was the half. Okay, 2.5. And then the next one, if we go to the next one, the same thing, same exact thing, right? From the halfway mark, so it dropped down halfway, and another whole line, and then another whole line down to this point. So each cycle so far, those two, from this one to this one was down 2.5 log lines. From this one to this one was down 2.5 log lines. Now, where would it put us if we were to go to another one, right? Where would it put us? By the way, if you guys like the content, subscribe. Let's go to 90,000 subscribers. Let's get there quickly and continue that run. So let's go to 90,000 subscribers. Subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. Now, where would it put us? Okay, first of all, these are lines on a chart. And let's not make any mistake about it. They're lines on a chart. As humans, we like to make sense of things. Bitcoin could care, you know, it could not care less about lines on a chart. And at the end of the day, it's simply going to do whatever the hell it wants to. But in terms of trying to come up with a systematic way to make sure you're making money, to make sure you're profiting, to make sure you're never letting a good bubble go to waste, one of the things that you might consider is that, okay, well, these trends have played out in the past. Will they continue to play out? Well, where would 2.5 log lines down put us if we were to continue the trend, right? If we were to continue, which there's no guarantee we would. And a caveat that everyone, of course, wants to mention is the money supply. We were not supposed to be at this money supply level until 2023. And here we are, because after the pandemic, you can see the money supply, M2, has just shot up. You know, it's in fact from where it should have been at this time, if we had continued the trend, the money supply is up around 20%. So if the money supply is up higher, then we know that, you know, maybe things will get inflated a little bit more than they should. But anyways, if you're trying to come up with a systematic strategy to just take profits, live to fight another day, then this is yet another metric you can look at. So if the name of the game is 2.5 log lines, where would it put the next one? Well, 1, 2, and a half. That would be a half. Okay? Now, you might say, hold up a second. Who does this guy think he is saying that, 2.5 log lines would imply a market peak of around, maybe $45,000. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And maybe I don't. However, these functions are increasing. They're monotonically increasing. If we had reached that point, if we had reached 2.5 log lines down back in summer of 2019, it would have corresponded to just over $16,000. And now the price is over twice that, right? But we didn't make it there. It eluded us. The 2.5 log line spot eluded us back in 2019 because it would have implied a local market top of over $16,000, and we peaked shy of $14,000. Okay? Where would 2.5 log lines put us today? Again, it might put us up here, around 45,000 or so. That's where it might imply it would be. Now, what if we don't go there? What if we don't make it to that level? Well, if we don't make it to that level today, and we ultimately come back down for a while, by the time we come back up to that regression line, 2.5 log lines down from the last peak could be close to 100K. Okay? So remember, these are monotonically increasing functions. This is just one metric. Okay? It does not have to obey anything I said. There's obviously a lot of caveats to it. If, the money supply, whatever it may be, this time is different narrative, institutional money, etc., etc., etc. But at the end of the day, we try to come up with as many tools as we can. We try to use them. We make the best of it we can. We take profits along the way. You're not going to go broke taking profits, right? If you're just taking profits, you're not going to go broke. But just one example. So this is the 2.5 log line example, okay? And if this market extends out for a while longer, then by the time we get to it, the price could be over 100K. So that's just one metric. Another metric is the regression band, right? And by the way, the current price of Bitcoin is 33.5. This metric is the regression band. So this one's slightly different. This one shows a fair value fit to quote-unquote non-bubble data, right? If you guys had a nickel for every time I said that word, you'd probably have like 0.0001 Bitcoin, right? Would have been more a few weeks ago, but with the price of Bitcoin going up, you would not have nearly as much. So this one's a different example. It shows you our clear accumulation phases, right? Clearly. And for those saying that it's easy in hindsight, not so fast. We've been using this, we were using this accumulation band for a year. The last time this was fit was in like March of, the data it was fit to was like no later than, I think, the beginning of 2019. I know we included this data and then this data right here. After that, none of this has been included, but it did a pretty good job of showing, some levels, right? We remained in the accumulation phase here. We remained in it here. We did have a wick down. This was a short-term bubble. I don't know where this short-term bubble is going to be, or maybe it won't be a short-term bubble and maybe it'll take us up to the top. Do I think it'll take us to the top? No, I don't. Is it impossible for it to? It's not impossible, right? We're not going to say anything's impossible here. We do the best we can with the data that we have. So if we were to go to the peak instantaneously, and I should say the theoretical peak, the red log line is based on the peak data. By the way, the peak data is going to have a lot more uncertainty in it. Okay? the non-bubble data, all of this data, has less uncertainty. And you might be like, well, what does that mean? Well, for the non-bubble data, we're literally including years of data. Okay, years of data that we fit to. All that data was fit, and that's how we got that curve. A logarithmic regression curve. The equation is, if you want to do this yourself, it's not hard, right? It's not rocket science, it's data science. Just 10, raise it to the power, in parentheses, ln of x, a times the ln of x minus b. So 10, why don't we just write it, right? If you want to do this yourself. 10 raised to the a times the ln of x minus b. And then that is in parentheses. So this equation, it's this equation here, fit to quote-unquote non-bubble data. But it's years of data. So it's years of data that we have to work with, okay? Years of it. There's a lot less uncertainty in it. We have more confidence in it, okay? This data up here is fit to 3 data points, okay? So there's going to be a little bit more uncertainty. Fit to that data point, and then the peak there. There's going to be uncertainty, more uncertainty, because there's 3 data points. So if one day we end up having a peak and we look back and say, oh, well, that's a pretty nice peak, if we don't quite make it, it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily the top, right? Like let's say one day we come up to it. I don't know if it's going to be now, or let's say it happens later on, but let's say we don't quite make it to the top. That doesn't mean that the bear market can't ensue, okay? In the same manner, we could also go above it and then come back down, right? There's going to be some uncertainty there. However, with that said, if we took this stuff as gold and only had this metric to look at, where would it imply the instantaneous top to be? Where would it imply the instantaneous top? Well, if we were to come up back to the lower bound, it would correspond to today, it would correspond to $55,000, $55,066. That would be the lower bound, and that would be if we went there today. If we go there 5 months from now, these levels will be higher. You can see that in 2019, at the peak in 2019, it would have corresponded to a $28,000 Bitcoin up to a $41,000 Bitcoin. So the lower bound in 2019, we're already above it today, right? We're already well above that level today. So now the lower bound is 54,000 up to 82,000. If we don't make it, right? Let's say we don't make it, and it just says psych, just kidding, and it comes back down for a while, and then later we come up. Then by that time, maybe the lower bound will be 100K, and the upper bound could be 150K. So it's more like, how long does it take us to get there? The longer it takes us to get there, the more momentum we have to push, right? We want it. We need the volume, and the volume to get the amount of money into the space, to get us, say, to $100,000 Bitcoin, $150,000 Bitcoin in decades, maybe in a couple decades, maybe $1 million Bitcoin. The volume is significant. So the longer it takes us to get there, the more spectacular our final blow off top will likely be. The shorter time frame, like if we go up to it quicker, then it likely won't be quite as spectacular. Okay, just because you want to build up as much momentum as possible. Imagine like a snowball rolling down a mountain, and as it rolls down, there's more and more snow that collects onto it. The longer it rolls, the bigger it gets. Okay, so you want it to keep rolling, keep bringing people in, subtly increasing the volume systematically, and then every bubble we have, right? If that one was smaller than this one, wherever we end up going with this one, if this one is the final top, then so be it, right? So be it. We're there to take advantage of it. If it's not, and it comes back down, then the next one should be even more spectacular. Okay? So it's all about the time it takes to get there, and systematically increasing the amount of volume, the amount of people in the space. If we look at the Bitcoin support, the Bitcoin bull market support band, why don't we switch this over back to a chart where you guys can actually see the price. So it's currently at 33.6. So if we look at our Bitcoin bull market support, you might be like, oh, why the hell are we looking at this? Again, this is our support in a bull market. So far, the last time we tested support was back in October. So it's been a pretty a decent amount of time. If you look at the last cycle, we had several phases where we tested the bull market support band. The bull market support band, as you know, is the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA. And the time between testing it has varied from a couple months. Here's another one that was a little over a couple months. This one was around a couple months. This one was around 3 months. That one was 2 months. And then the final one was over 4 months. So around 4 months before we finally tested it. So, and then there was another one over here. So that one was around 3 months. So it's pretty normal to retest this band historically every 3 months on average, right? Maybe a little bit less than every 3 months on average. Well, let's go see. When's the last time we tested it? Well, we moved above it here, and we could say we tested it there. We came pretty close to the 21, so we'll count it. 84 days from here to here, 42 days. Pretty normal. The last time we tested it was around October 5th, and we're up to 91 days. Okay, 91 days. During the last cycle, we went this long without, without testing it, right? We had, here was 77, 70, 70, 91, 63, and 140. So we can put some bars between tests of the Bitcoin bull market support. Sorry, let me just read the chat. All right, goodbye, John. Let's make sure, just making sure we don't have any trolls here. Well, the chat's been pretty active. All right, so all we're looking at here is just systematic times between tests of the 20-week, okay? It's so far been 91 days, right? It's been 91 days so far. The last cycle, the longest we went without testing it was 140 days. That was the longest. If it took us 140 days, this cycle, it would imply testing it in February, okay? If it went the same amount of time as the longest time frame one during the last cycle. Again, this is just data. It's just data. You can pull up TradingView and see the same thing for yourself. We're just looking at time between tests of the bull market support as we navigate our theoretical bull market, multi-year bull market, hopefully. So again, so far it has been 91 days. The longest last time was 140. And if we did that again, it would put us testing it by late February at the latest. Now, the current support band for the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA is 16.8K up to 18.9K. So, so the current band stretches about 2K. It stretches about $2,000. By the time we test it, right? If it let's say it takes us a month to test it. Okay, let's say it takes us a month to come back down to it. Well, we know that the current price of the 20-week SMA is 16.8K. Okay, last week it wasn't even 16K. It was in like the 15K region. One thing we can do is go back 20 weeks. What was going on 20 weeks ago? Well, the current price of Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin at the time was around $11,500. Okay? If we were to figure out or take a systematic calculation to figure out what would the 20-week moving average look like if we stayed at the current price and replaced it back then, 33,600 minus 11,500 divided by 20, because we take the average of 20 weeks, that's $1,100. So next week, if the price of Bitcoin closes at 33.6, then the 20-week moving average would be around 17.9K. It could be around 18K in a week. Okay, the 20-week moving average could be at 18K in a week. So where would that put it in a month? Right? Well, if it took us a month to test it, the 20-week moving average might be at 21K or so. Again, it depends on what the price of Bitcoin does. If the price of Bitcoin is coming back down, then the 20-week moving average is going to start to level off a bit. It's not going to increase as quickly. It might do something like that. So then if we come down to test it, right, then we would want to hold it as support to maintain the integrity of the bull market. Again, we're not making any calls on exactly when it's going to happen. We're just saying that historically, about 3 months is average, maybe a little bit less than 3 months. And right now, we're actually around 3 months. But we know based on the last cycle, it can extend even further. So whenever we do come back down to earth, whether it's now or we go up a little bit longer and then we come down, this will be a key level to watch, in my opinion. How's everyone doing in the chat? Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. It's nice to see we have almost 3,000 viewers. Someone said, what would a $288,000 Bitcoin look like by the end of 2021? I don't think it's going to happen. If it does happen, that's fine. But to give you an idea of what it would need to look like to get to that level, which, again, I don't think it'll happen, but, you know, it's possible. Anything's possible. Let's say December 20th, 2021, to get to a 288,000, it would be right there. I think that's too tall of an order. Okay, I think it's too tall of an order. I don't think we're going to make it. I mean, we'd essentially have to just do this for the next year, which I don't see happening. It's too quick, and it's not in line with what we've seen in the past. We've seen diminishing returns each cycle. One thing that obviously everyone's talking about is the idea that we are ahead of schedule as compared to the last cycle. So let's just pull it up. What we're going to do, we're going to pull a bar pattern up. We're going to go to the bottom here, connect it to the top, grab that one, and overlay it to our current bottom. Okay, so right around that level or so. I'm not really sure how to draw it because that was a wick, but let's just draw it like right there or so. This was around the bottom. For both cycles, just overlaid on a log scale. You can see how different they've been so far. This cycle went up and then back down. This cycle went sideways or down and then back up. They converged there. And then they've more or less been on the same track since then, except this cycle has actually come ahead of schedule. Okay, it's come ahead of schedule. I don't think it's sustainable. Maybe that proves to be wrong, and we continue up like that. I don't think it's going to happen. I think something more like this is going to happen, where we're going to ultimately we're going to somewhat underperform the last cycle. But again, if it does outperform it, then so be it. But even during the last cycle, we had significant corrections, right? We had 30% corrections, 40% corrections. They all went down to the 20-week moving average, right? The 20-week moving average is more or less coming in here like that, and then ultimately we broke through it. So again, yeah, like we've said all along. Someone mentioned, you know, historical stuff does not indicate anything necessarily about the future. This is common sense, right? I don't think anyone here is under the impression that things have to play out in the same manner. So that it's very much common sense that is obviously the case. But we can at least look at historical moves to try to make some sense of what's going on. So we'll see what happens. We'll see where it takes us. That's just one more indicator. Another one. Let's pull up another one. By the way, let's look at the Bitcoin dominance really quick. Whoops. So it's come down pretty quickly. So it came down from 73.7 and now it's at 69.2. We'll see if it's gonna try to come back up, or if this is just gonna continue going back down, and we'll maybe either move into alt season, or if Bitcoin corrects hard and doesn't give alts a chance to run, then likely the dominance would come back up. So so another thing we want to look at is the, let's find it. So we'll switch this back over to the BLX. The weekly time frame, the regression bands. That's the wrong one. These regression bands. And we're also going to put on another script. This one shows the natural log of the price divided by the fair value regression band. And this is what you get. So again, all we're going to do is we're going to connect this to that one and see that we're going down. And then we're just going to extend it to the next one, right? And keep extending it. So then when you look at it, it's not drawn the best, but right around this area. And obviously it's not a perfect science, so here it is. That was the peak there. Another peak here. Another peak here. Where are we now? Well, we're still down at 0.79. To get to the peak instantaneously, it would correspond to a valuation of 1.56. You might be wondering, well, you might be wondering, well, where would this put us? If we went back up to this macro downtrend line, which is the price divided by the fair value as fit by this equation, where would it put us? Because you can see we're still a long ways off from it. Well, again, to find that out, we'll go over to our trusty friend Wolfram Alpha, and from here, looks like my 1-year-old has joined. Sorry about that. Bitcoin's back at 33.9. Let's just see. Sorry about that. You know, I the other day I recorded my a lot of you guys have already heard this, but I recorded my 4-year-old. Of course, this is not financial advice. This is the words from a 4-year-old.
Buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin.
Take it for what it's worth.
Buy Bitcoin.
Anyways, sorry, trying to get my train of thought back. All right, anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, we were calculating out if we were to go up to this peak, where would it put us, right? So if we did, so if this trend continued, we would hit it in mid-February. All right, let's get back on track. Let's just check. Okay, Bitcoin's back above 34K, so it's still moving. But if we were to come back up to the top, it would put us at a valuation of around 1.55 off the fair value. The fair value, according to this chart, is 11,183. So by that point, it'll probably be closer to 12K. So if we say the log of X over $12,000 equals 1.55 or so, and then solve for X, that would actually put us at 56,000. So if Bitcoin went to 56,000 in say a month or so, then it would put us at that it would put us at that point right there. Okay, that's where we need to go in the short term for us to make it to that level. If it happens later, then we'll be lower down here, but the fair value will be a lot higher. Okay. Yeah, and someone says that Bitcoin will break every model. As they say, right, every model is wrong, but some are useful. We don't contend that any of these models are going to be exactly correct, right? No model is going to give you the exact peak or the exact time of the peak or anything like that. But we can come up with models to try to help, give us some insight into what's going on. But we of course recognize that all models are going to have their flaws. Every single model is going to have some flaw in it somewhere, and it's not going to be an exact representation of exactly what Bitcoin does. Because there's not a model that's going to tell you exactly the price that it peaks at and the minute that it happens. Thomas says, Ben, why would the Bitcoin dominance go back up when Bitcoin corrects? Down, don't people selling Bitcoin meaning the Bitcoin dominance should drop too? That's a good question. If you're new to the space, you might think, well, if Bitcoin's dropping, why would the dominance go up, right? Why would the dominance go up if Bitcoin's dropping? Well, it's simply because if the price of Bitcoin is dropping quickly, then likely the rest of the market is dropping quicker. So that's something you need to take into consideration. If the rest of the market is dropping faster than Bitcoin, then the Bitcoin dominance goes up. And to illustrate that further, here, the price of Bitcoin in December of 2017 through December of 2018, right? It was going down. The price of Bitcoin was going down from December of 2017 to December of 2018. If we go look to see where we were in December of 2017, we were here. So while the price of Bitcoin was dropping from December of 2017 to December of 2018, the dominance went up, and it's because the rest of the market was crashing harder and quicker. Yeah, I think the graphs just help us try to make heads and tails of what's going on. Again, none of the models are going to be exactly correct, and we don't claim that they are. We just do the best we can with what we have, and we tweak things as we go. As I've said before, right? That like the regression, this chart has to be refit every market cycle, because as you get more data, after the next, say, bear market, we're going to want to refit it so that it remains fairly good to predict out the next cycle. I have found that if you fit it to the end of the bear market, it tends to do a pretty good job going forward during that market cycle of showing you, the general accumulation phase. Right? That's what I have found. Okay. Like if you did the same thing over here, you would get a regression band going up slightly quicker, but it would still do a really good job of predicting the accumulation phase. So this one will have to be refit each market cycle. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. I'm happy to see there's 3,000 viewers. Let's get to 1,000 likes if possible. And definitely subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 90,000 subscribers. So we've covered a lot of Bitcoin. Let's cover one more thing for Bitcoin, and then we'll switch over to Ethereum, and then we'll talk about Chainlink and Cardano and Polkadot, and we'll go through the list, okay? So buckle up. The last thing I just want to quickly mention for Bitcoin, we're going to put on one more indicator. So we're going to remove the regression rainbow. We're going to add another indicator. We're going to do the log of the price over the 20-week SMA and look at levels of overvaluation from the 20-week SMA. Okay? So far, that's where we are. There was only one time during the last market cycle where we went above this level, and it was the blow off top. Okay? And sorry if you can hear my child screaming in the background. So this is overvaluation from the 20-week moving average. And you can see the bottoms here are generally kind of going up during the cycle. This was a more systematic move. This one, I don't know, it doesn't really seem as systematic so far. Yeah, I think someone mentioned XRP and that's why they're crying. So probably someone in the chat. Let's see, who was the last one who mentioned XRP? It's going to be that person's fault. Michael John Scott says Puerto Rico is having a tissue shortage. It's apparently down to Peter Schiff and XRP holders. So obviously he was joking about XRP, but I think my son got wind that someone mentioned XRP. Freaking John, man. All right, anyways, where would it put us if we got to a level of overextension from the 20-week? Log of price or log of the price divided by the 20-week, where would it put us if we reached that level? Well, my friends, it would put us at a valuation here of 1.05. The 20-week, as we said, is 16.8. Let's suppose we get there in 2 weeks, it'll be closer to 20K. And let's say 3 weeks, it'd be 20K. So where would that put us? Well, if the log of X over 20K equals 1.04, what would the price of Bitcoin be? Well, it'd be about 56,000, in fact. And the interesting thing about 56,000 is we also saw that we saw that show up as well when you just put on, and again, I'm not saying it's going to go to 56,000 in the short term. I would gander that it's more likely not to than it will, but if it were, 56,000 would also correspond to that lower bound. Okay? Just to give you an idea. But I digress. Okay. So we've talked a lot about Bitcoin. Should we move on to something else? Do you guys have any questions? Remember, these models are not perfect. I don't claim that they are. I'm using the data to make the models, and then we use them the best we can. So again, do not take these as, don't take this to the bank or anything. It's just a model based on historical data. Okay, so Ethereum. Yeah, I get that you guys want to talk about altcoins. Let's talk about Ethereum, because most people here hold Ethereum, and it's my number 2. Bitcoin's number 1. In my opinion, it should be everyone's number 1, but that's just my opinion. It's not financial advice, of course. Good old Ethereum. As we say, we're in Ethuary, right? January is Ether's time to shine. Remember the end of December. We made a video called Remember the end of December. In December, when the Ether Bitcoin valuation was here. Okay, so what we want to see now, is this going to be a sustainable move? Okay, now let's switch this over to quickly the monthly time scale. I honestly hate this wick because it never just lets me auto this out. Anyways, this is the monthly time scale. And now we're going to simply take a look at the 20-month and 50-month. These are the 20-month and 50-month moving averages. The reason, well, the 20-month for Ether Bitcoin holds support in bull markets or thereabouts. In bear markets, when we're trying to get above it, resistance 5 times in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We broke through it off to the races. Identic top at the 50-month moving average at a valuation of 0.0405. The current 50-month is at 0.0415. Big bounce off the 20-month, right? Big bounce off the 20-month. Again, no surprise. We anticipated this. We made so many videos. Nothing but videos talking about the Q4 bleed of Ether Bitcoin every single year, and the subsequent Ether Bitcoin explosion in Q1 every single year, right? So, we anticipated this to happen, just like we anticipated it last year, and once again, so far it's worked out quite well. Now, one of the things, as we said before, where would it put us? Well, the price of Bitcoin's changing all the time. Where would it put us today? If we went to the 50-month moving average of the Ether Bitcoin valuation, it would put us at 0.0416. So we'll go back to Wolfram Alpha, 0.0416 times the current price of Bitcoin. Simple stoichiometry. Ether Bitcoin times Bitcoin gives you Ether, the price of Ether. Current price of Bitcoin, 34K or so. Where would that put Ether? It would put it at 1414. Okay? 1414. Is that significant? Yes, it is, in fact, because 14 14. I don't know what this wick is because it did not reach 1600, but it did apparently on Kraken. But it was more around 1420 on Coinbase and a lot of other exchanges. So that would actually put us right here. So if Ether Bitcoin, again, rallied back up to this point up here, and the price of Bitcoin were 34K, which it's not going to be most likely because it's the price of Bitcoin is not invariant. But let's suppose it were 34K times 0.0416 would give you 1414, which coincidentally is the prior all-time high of Ether. Okay. Another thing we'll look at, we'll do the same thing. We'll take a look at, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So we'll take a look at the log of the price divided by the 20-week SMA. Here we are. What level of overvaluation did we reach in January of 2018? Exactly 3 years ago. Let's draw it over. What level was that? Well, it was 1.04. Simple math. Simple math. We could just measure it. That's too simple. Let's make it more complicated. Find the easy way, then find a more complicated way and do it that way. So we'll take it as 1.04 divided by the 20-week. Well, where is the 20-week? 20-week is at 521. The 20-week will move up, though, okay? And the 20-week is moving up rather quickly. Let's suppose that the 20-week moving average is at 550 by the time we get to the top, if we get to the top. Where would that put us? Well, let's figure it out. The log of the price divided by 550 would equal 1.04. A $1556 Ether. Okay, a $1556 Ether if we were to go back to the top. If we went to the top of that level of overvaluation from May of 2017, would be 1.46. If we went there, and it would take us a couple months to get there on an amazing rally if it happened, which there's a good chance it doesn't. But if it did, let's suppose the 20-week would actually be closer to, say, 650 at the time. This is just an estimation. I don't really know exactly where it would be. That would put us at a $2,700 Ether, $2,800 Ether. So for us to get to the same level of overvaluation from the 20-week from May of 2017, then it would put us at close to a $3,000 Ether. I don't think that's going to happen in the short term, but it's Ether. You really never know. It has a way of printing candles. And again, a $1,000 investment into Ether in November of 2017 or November of 2015 would have netted you 1.5 million by January of 2018. So never underestimate Ether. Never underestimate the Ethereum mountain range. Okay, don't underestimate it, because it has a way of doing things that you just aren't really prepared for. Don't underestimate Ether. Don't underestimate it. Ether Bitcoin, 20-month, 50-month. So far, that's been encapsulating our current price movement. Back to the 50-month at the current Bitcoin valuation. Again, to recap, it put us at around a $1,400 Ether, which coincidentally happens to be the prior all-time high. If you switch over to the monthly time frame, right? We finished our W. Congratulations. We finished it. It was a long time coming, but we made it. It's not much, but it's honest work, right? It's not much, but it's honest work. Back to the top. Complete. That one had a wick to 14K. Well, it shows on here 16K, but I don't think that's true. It's more 14K if you're watching it live back then on most exchanges. Congratulations on completing the W. We'll see where it takes us. Okay. Let's switch this over to the weekly time frame. Now, one thing that we know is that for Bitcoin, the bull market support band is a pretty good indication of a bull market, right? We want to hold it as support. Make sure you guys subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. So we're currently at 34K, the bull market support band. We're nowhere close to it. Obviously, most people don't want to hear it, right? Why are we talking about a $1,600 or a $16,000 to $18,000 Bitcoin when we're at twice that? I get it. Just keep it in the back of your mind. If we ever correct, we want to know where it is. That has historically been the support. Now, Ether has also had its support band, right? And you can see that it tends to hold support as well during a bull market, right? Here, and here. It's not as perfect as Bitcoin because it broke through it in October of 2016 briefly before continuing on because it had a double peak. But guess what? So did Bitcoin a market cycle before. If you go to a market cycle before, Bitcoin also temporarily broke through on its double peak move. Okay, so that's why we say Ether volatility is one cycle behind Bitcoin. Double peak, broke the 20-week. Ether, double peak, here, peak, and then double peak, broke the 20-week. Maybe this cycle, Ethereum will hold the 20-week like Bitcoin did last cycle, and that's what it'll look like. I don't know. But anyways, you can see that it's been a historically bullish time when we continue to hold the 20-week. Now, does it make sense for Ether Bitcoin? Not really. It does not really make sense, and in fact, you can see that right now we are above this level, but it hasn't been as informative in the past. You know, when we're going down, we tend to just we're below it. Maybe we get back into the band, but we keep getting shot back down. We came above it, and then we've dipped below. So we haven't really had a sustained breakout of Ethereum against Bitcoin, but right now we are back above it. Okay, so we'll want to continue that move. Now, yeah, no donations here. If you want to give me a donation, invest it, right? Go invest it. Put it in the market. Put it somewhere. I'm not telling you where to put it. Invest your money. We don't do that here. Okay. So, is it a good time? So let's keep going. We've covered Bitcoin. We've covered Ethereum. What are the other three main coins we cover on the channel? Cardano, Chainlink, and Polkadot, right? Cardano, Chainlink, and Polkadot. And we did a video yesterday showing, and we talked about, these were the main five, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and Polkadot. And if you go back a year, obviously Polkadot doesn't have that history. Those four coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA, were the top four performing coins out of the top 15. Right? Remember? We just showed this in a video. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, ADA, and Chainlink. These are my top five. My goal is to see these five coins make up the top five. And it looks like, in fact, that ADA has flipped Bitcoin Cash. No surprise there, right? Why is there no surprise? Well, we'll show it again. So what we're going to do, and this way we can talk about it. We're going to go back a year. And today we'll go back to January 5th of 2020. January 5th of 2020. Where were we? So, where were we? Viewer discretion is advised. Viewer discretion is advised because the prices you're about to see might make your stomach turn. Okay? Let's systematically go through it. We're not hiding behind a rock here. Let's not leave any stone unturned. We said a year ago that Polkadot was not on the open market, so I didn't start talking about it and saying it was my top five until it hit the open market. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA, as we said, Bella. If I ever have a girl, maybe I'll name her Isabella. So far, I have 3 boys. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA. Out of the top 15, which ones performed the best? Well, Bitcoin is up about 4 to 5x. Ethereum is up, 9x or so? XRP hasn't really moved. Bitcoin Cash is up 2x. Litecoin is up 3x. EOS is maybe up 50%. Binance Coin up 3x. Bitcoin SV, not even 2x. Monero, maybe 2 to 3x. Stellar, maybe 3 to 4x. Tron, 3x. Cardano, 7x. Tezos, maybe 50% or 2x. No, it's 2x or so. I don't even know what the hell that is. But Chainlink was the other one. We said Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA. Link is also up, what, like 7 or 8x or so right now? So those were the main 4 we chose. Those have been the best performing coins out of the top 20, right? I don't think any of these other coins have done better. I honestly don't even know. I mean, Cosmos is, Atom, 423, and today it is, where is it? 618. Nothing to write home about, right? But one of the things we've said many times, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. Bella with a dot, period. The dot stands for DOT. So these are the main 4. The other ones have underperformed those. Remember, it's opportunity cost. It's better to focus on a few coins rather than to FOMO and 100 different ones. But you gotta pick the winners. Obviously, picking the winners is not such an easy task. But the ones we picked a year ago are the top performing coins out of the top 20. I do know, I'm not going to pretend like there aren't better performing coins. I understand that Theta has done very well. I did not choose it. It has done very well. Okay, this is one that has done very well, and it is outperformed the 4 that I mentioned. But out of the top 20 that existed back then, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA have performed the best. And to give you an idea today of where we are, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT are my top 5. I think they will slowly rise to the top. And it's already, I mean, we've been saying this for months, years now. And it is falling into place. You know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're where they should be. Link is kind of dragging its feet, but it does what it wants. It has a mind of its own. It kind of runs when the rest of the market's not doing anything. So we'll give Link a little bit of space for a while, and later on we expect it to pick up the slack. Otherwise, you know, I mean, we'll have to have a talk with it, but you know, it's sitting at number 10. We want to watch it flip BNB and BCH, get back in line as it should. Hopefully we'll see DOT, ADA, and Link flip XRP next, and then Litecoin, right? So the market cap for DOT is 8.8 billion. It's a stone throw to get to overtake XRP, right? If DOT overtook XRP, we wouldn't even get out of bed for that, right? It's not even something to get out of bed for. Maybe like a 20% move or so. We're not getting out of bed for that. If it flips Litecoin, not getting out of bed for that either. Now, if it comes up here, we don't count Tether, right? We don't count stable coins. The top 5 right now are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, and DOT. I want to see DOT, ADA, and Link flip all of these and overtake XRP and Litecoin. Probably even overtake Tether by principle, but if it doesn't, I'm not going to count Tether. But let's hope they do, just off the principle of the matter, that they should overtake it. I do own Celsius. I do own Celsius, but I always caution people against it because it's up like 150x. I don't own Theta. I'll admit that. I don't own Theta. I do own Celsius. It is up a lot though. It's up like 150x this year, so tread very carefully with that one. So we'll see if these can move up the ranks. If Link, ADA, and DOT can move up the ranks and ultimately make up the top 5. If they don't, we'll see which one is able to do so. Now, if you're wondering what other ones I'm keeping my eyes on right now, I do hold a little bit of Monero. Obviously, there's some concerns about the privacy issues and being delisted. I do own a little bit of Monero. I don't think it'll make it into the top 5. Okay, I don't think it'll make it into the top 5. Or the top 10 for that matter. I don't really think Monero will make it to the top 10. I could be wrong, and I would love to be proven wrong. I really like Monero. You know, I really do like what it stands for. I would love to see Monero move in the top 10. I'm just skeptical about it ever happening. I expect these two. I've been saying all along, VeChain and Uniswap. I think they're going to move up. I think these two are going to move up. I've always been skeptical about Tezos. I think it could do okay, but I'm not as bullish on this one as VeChain and Uniswap. I would expect 21 and 22, so VeChain and Uniswap to move up. Probably expecting BSV, EOS to move down. Tron I would expect to move down as well, and usher in some of these other coins. So VeChain moving up, Uniswap moving up, Celsius probably moving up to the top 20 at the very least. Right now it's 24. I can see it moving into the top 20, and so on and so forth. Maybe Atom is one to keep your eye on. I know this one is pretty popular as well. If we keep going down, obviously this is a big one. People like talking about this one. So there's Compound.finance, which is decent. Maker, I think this is a solid choice as well. But you only have so much money at the end of the day, right? And you don't want to get spread too thin, as we said. So instead of putting the majority of your money and splitting it evenly over, say, 20 coins, in my opinion, it's better to invest in a few key ones and to just ride with those. And in fact, the ones we've picked, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA, have outperformed the others in the top 20 over the last year. So let's see where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's at 33.9, Ethereum's at 1100, Link is at 1450, ADA is at 25 cents, and DOT is at almost $10. Let's talk about ADA, okay? We've been talking about ADA since it was less than 2 cents. So congratulations if you rode the 10x with me. Now, if you were on that journey, it was a long journey, but it wasn't that long, right? It wasn't that long. If you had bought it, you don't even have to have bought it at the bottom of the wick. You could have bought it here at 2.5 cents and seen a 900% move. A 900% move is in fact a 10x, right? Because if a 100% move is 2x, a 900% move is 10x. 1,000% move, a lot of people think 1,000% means 10x. 1,000% is 11x. So, congratulations for those who have been holding ADA, and congratulations on your 10x move. Maybe we'll buckle up for the next 10x. Okay? I don't know how long it's going to take. It could take years. The next 10x hopefully will take us to 250. So this would be the general target up here, right? I don't know exactly when it would occur, but that would be the general target that we'd be looking for to see the next the 10x. To see another 10x for ADA from here, it needs to make it up to this point. So it was this 10x was a fun journey, right? This one, probably less certain about than this one, right? This one I feel like was lower risk, buying it at 2.5 cents, a lot lower risk. The next 10x is a lot higher risk. Buying it now is very risky because you're already going up against the people who bought it at 2.5 cents. Am I buying ADA now? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Would I buy it if I didn't own any? Maybe. But if I were buying it here, I would have to be okay with a short-term volatility to the downside. Do not buy ADA. I'm not going to offer financial advice. I would not buy ADA at this point if I was not okay with volatility to the downside. The only reason I'm not buying it is because I already own it, and we were talking about it at 2.5, 3.5, 4 cents, 5 cents, 6 cents, saying these are the times to accumulate. There's got to be at some point where you cut it off. That doesn't mean I don't think it'll go higher. It just means that it's not worth the risk to me. It might be worth the risk to you. I'm very bullish on ADA. I want to see it continue to go up. But at some point, if you just keep putting money in it forever, then you keep putting money in. At some point, it turns around, and then you lose a lot of money. So it's not about your returns. It's about your risk-adjusted returns. That's my philosophy. If you disagree with it, that's fine. That's just my philosophy. So ADA is doing quite well. But one of the things I want to show you is the ADA Ether valuation, because this is a key valuation you should keep an eye on. I don't know why we're looking at a 1 hour. ADA Ether. The same general downtrend, but the peaks tend to be the same, right? First peak, second peak, third. Well, this was the first peak, but let's, if it goes up there, then we're doing quite well at that point. But let's be pragmatic. First peak, second peak, third peak, general downtrend. ADA's never experienced a bull market, blah, blah, blah. From here, if we continue back up to this peak, it would correspond to an ADA Ether valuation of 0.00005. Well, where would that put us? Well, we're currently at 0.00002, or 0002. So 0.005 times the current valuation of Ether is around 1100. That would, wait, or I think I'm doing something wrong here. Let's switch back over. So this would put it at 0.0005. What did I do? Yeah, I missed a zero here. So that would put it at 55 cents. So if ADA were to come back up to this peak against Ether, that has come up to 3 times now, at the current Ether valuation, it would put it at 55 cents. But we have high expectations for Ether here, right? If ADA is going to this valuation, then most likely Ethereum is also going up and ADA is just outperforming Ethereum. So if Ethereum goes up and ADA also goes up, let's suppose Ethereum's at a modest $2,500. Well, if Ethereum's at a modest $2,500 and ADA is 0.0005 of that, then that would put ADA at 125, which coincidentally is around the prior all-time high. That's where essentially it would put it, right? 125 is around that point. Now, I would contend that the likelihood that ADA gets to $1 in the short term is not that likely. So this is not a day trading channel. If you're looking for day trading calls and that sort of stuff, there's plenty of channels out there for it. This is not one of them. It does not compete with those channels. Those channels are completely different. This is not a day trading channel. This is for more long-term swing trading, momentum shift, take profits during bubbles, never let a good bubble go to waste, identify trends using data science, and nothing more. So I haven't looked at the chat in a while. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. I'm happy to see we have almost 3,400 people viewing. But yeah, make sure you subscribe if you guys like the content. If you like the stream, want to make sure you catch more of them, make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications. We also do have a Telegram channel, and I'm going to post 2 Telegram channels, okay? The first one is for macro coins, macro cap coins, over 1 billion, okay? If they're not over 1 billion, take the conversation somewhere else. We're going to post that Telegram chat in the chat. If you want to talk about micro caps, which I know most of you do, we're going to post another chat for that one, okay? If you want to talk about micro caps, we have a group of almost 1,800 people. You can go talk about it there. Okay, it's posted in the chat. So go join that chat room if you want to talk about micro caps. Okay, so from here, where do we go? We've covered Bitcoin, we've covered Ethereum, we've covered ADA. Let's see where they are. ADA's at 25 cents. Ethereum's at 1,100, modest 1,100, and Bitcoin's at 34,000. Where do we go from here? Let's take a look at DOT. DOT, as we said many times, accumulation phase, right? This was the perfect accumulation phase. We had many videos on it. I think we had 2 videos on it. We also talked about it in a lot of live streams. Perfect accumulation phase. Now, one of the things we need to talk about with DOT is the idea that it was breaking down against Bitcoin. And we recognized this. We didn't hide from it. We said, you know what? We see that this is happening. But, right, let's remove this. There's still a chance that it turns around. If you don't think that it can turn around, then don't invest. Ethereum did the same thing when it first launched, okay? So, you know, you look at Ethereum, it launched and it bled by about 70% or so against Bitcoin. DOT, in the same manner, also bled about, I mean, from here to here, it's 65%. If you take it to the top of the wick, it's around 70%. So the idea that something, if it bleeds against Bitcoin by 70%, it can't recover, it's just simply not true. Ethereum did the same thing. It did not preclude it from continuing on much higher. So we've been, you know, this is why we talk about DOT. DOT, could it drop? Of course it could drop. What would cause it to drop? Well, a Bitcoin capitulation would cause it to drop. If it drops, what would I do? I would buy more of it. Am I buying it now? No, I'm not. But if it were to drop back down, I would buy more of it, and I would just continue accumulating. I think this market cycle is going to be a long one. I'm not necessarily here for a quick flip. If it gives us the opportunity for a quick flip, then so be it. But you know, this is something that I think it's worth. I think it's worth having at least one coin each market cycle that has no emotional price barriers, that has a prior run. Just the sky's the limit. To some degree, you're not going to have a horde of people that are selling at $20 because they bought in at $20 and they want to break even though they're really not breaking even because they lost the time value of that money if they bought at $20 and then waited 3 years to sell it back to you. But that's besides the point. So, anyways, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. We've covered Bitcoin, Ethereum, DOT, and ADA. Let's go take a look at Link. Well, Link had a pretty good move earlier this year. Okay, it went up 10x. Less than $2 to $20. An amazing move by Link. People have already forgotten about it. Okay, you get into the new normal. You get into the new type of sentiment. Bearish sentiment, because people who bought up here are the loudest. They make the most noise. Therefore, when you're over in this region, people are bearish because, again, the people that bought at the peak tend to be the loudest. The people that have been quietly accumulating over here maybe took profits up here, maybe different, maybe they didn't. They're still calm as a cucumber, right? They're still doing quite well. They're up 10x or more since inception. From the bottom, anyways, Link's up a modest 11,000%. So Link is certainly doing something right. You know, there are not a lot of coins that are already above their prior 2017, 2018 highs. Link has left it in the dust. The prior all-time high of Link was 151. From there, it's up 10x. From its 2018 peak, Link is up 10x. So don't tell me that Link's not a good coin. I mean, you know, it all depends on where you come in, right? If you came in here, then for a while you were probably kicking yourself, but eventually it bailed you out. If you came in here for a while, you were probably kicking yourself, but eventually it bailed you out. If you came in here, you're probably kicking yourself. I'll leave it to you to fill in where I would say that it would go next. However, one of the things to note, as we've said before, if you measure peak to peak, which is probably a dubious way to measure it, but let's just measure it, 200% over 539 days, 300% or so over 416 days. If we were to go up, let's say non-diminishing returns and shortening cycles, it's not like I'm against diminishing, or it's not like I'm against increasing returns. It's not like I'm against shortening cycles or 4-year cycles. I just go with the data. So far, we see it shortening. If it were to continue this way, good chance it doesn't. If it does, let's say 300 days and 400%, that would put us at $100 Link. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe that'll happen by this summer. Okay. One of the things to note is the reason we hold Link It's because it improves your covariance matrix when calculating your risk-adjusted return. So if you look at your volatility of your portfolio by having both Bitcoin and Link in it, it improves your risk-adjusted returns, or your Sharpe ratio, or your Sortino ratio if you choose to not punish negative volatility. So you might say, well, Bitcoin's the only one moving right now. Why would I hold Link? Well, back in July and August, Link was going through the roof and leaving Bitcoin behind. So they run in different seasons. When Bitcoin's running, Link doesn't tend to run, but when Link runs, Bitcoin doesn't tend to run. So they improve your Sharpe ratio, they improve your just risk-adjusted returns, because as I said before, negative volatility of Link offsets positive volatility of Bitcoin or the negative volatility of Bitcoin tends to be compensated by the positive volatility of Link, and then the negative volatility of Link tends to be compensated by the positive volatility of Bitcoin. So holding both tends to be okay. I'm sure I sound like a broken record at this point, especially to the people that want to see it go up, who bought in up here. But the people who are continuing to buy all along, it's just business as usual, right? This is just nothing more than the same thing we've been seeing for years now. And we could trend sideways for a bit. We could go between $15 and $7 for a long time before breaking up. We simply do not know. So remember, as long as Bitcoin volatility is through the roof, I would not expect Link to do anything significant. One day, if Bitcoin slows down for a few months, maybe that'll lead to Link quickly moving back up. Again, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. Hopefully we'll see those in the top 5. Not including stable coins, right? So right now it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, DOT, and ADA. Again, ADA has flipped Bitcoin Cash, which is pretty nice. Chainlink is still sitting at number 10. It needs to gain a little bit here to overtake BNB. It was above it earlier. If Link were to go up just a couple percent or so, it would overtake BNB. But BNB is at $40, and Binance is a pretty well-known exchange. A lot of people use it, so it's and Binance has seen a 3x over the last year. So surpassing some of these coins isn't going to necessarily be a cakewalk, right? It's not going to be a cakewalk, but it doesn't mean Link can't do it. All right, so have you guys enjoyed the stream? What do you think about it? Hopefully we've covered a lot. Make sure, if you guys like the content, subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Whew. That was a long rant, right? That was an hour and 30-minute rant. Who was here for all of it? Sorry if you had to endure all of it. Someone says great analysis. I want more on DOT. I would like to give you more on DOT, but what are we going to do? There's just not a whole lot of information. What are we going to do? Are we going to switch over to 1 hour time frames and pull up? Let's pull up the some moving averages, right? Why don't we pull up the 20-hour moving average and see what's going on? Nothing significant, right? Let's pull up something else. Let's see if we can do some pretty rudimentary. Let's make it look like it's long-term technical analysis, but it's really not. So this is the all-important 100-hour moving average. The 100-hour moving average is a very important moving average. No, it's not. But this is, maybe we'll hold it as support here. Let's see if we can hold it as support. It's currently at, where is it? 920, 929. Let's hold it as support and continue going higher. This is the way we can get around the fact that DOT has no history. We'll just switch it over to hourly time frames and look at long hourly moving averages. But don't tell anyone. It actually is. It seems to be okay, right? We're holding as support sometimes. We break through it. Bad news bears for a few hours. We break back through it, and we're back in business. Someone says, do I think 20K is sustainable now for Bitcoin? It might be. What I want to see is I want to see the 20-week moving average above 20K and Bitcoin holding it at support somewhere above 20K. That's what I want to see. If it does that, yeah, let's say it's sustainable for the bull market. Also, remember, just as a reminder for those who want to join it, we do have a premium list into the cryptoverse.com. You get access to weekly premium reports, weekly videos, the risk dashboard, the private Telegram alerts channel, the private Telegram chat room, premium list live streams, a dynamic DCA selling dashboard, and a few other things. Make sure you guys check it out into the cryptoverse.com. We don't do paid promotions here. We're not selling out, right? I'm not going to promote anything I don't believe in. Nothing has been paid for. We don't accept donations, right? Take it somewhere else. We don't have merchandise. Leave it to the other channels. Just the charts and the charts alone. So let's see. We got an $1,100 Ethereum. You know what would be better than $1,100 Ethereum? A $1,200 Ethereum would be actually better. But I'm not. It'd be nice to know what it feels like. I don't know what an $1,100 Ethereum feels like in 2021. It's been so long I forgot. So let's see what a $1,200. $1,100 Ethereum is nice, but I think a $1,200 one would feel just a bit better. Someone says this cycle seems more like 2013. We have made that comparison, and it is a fair comparison, right? We have made this comparison before. That if you look at the last cycle, it doesn't seem to be as matching it. This other cycle, it does, and let me show you why. I'm just going to show you exactly what the guy said, the guy in the chat who mentioned it, but actually on the chart. So if you look at the 2013 cycle, we came into the regression band, and then we came back out. And then we came back into the regression band, and then we came back out. And then we went sideways back into it, and then we went off to the races, and we had a double peak. Okay? Now let's go to the present day. Same thing, right? We came into the regression band, and then we came back out. We came into the regression band, and then we came back out. If we repeat, then maybe we go sideways for a while, and then we have a double peak. Okay? Too early to call, but it certainly looks more like this cycle so far than it does this one. So thanks for the comment. Hopefully I just showed what you were implying. Yeah, I know VeChain. We cover VeChain on the channel, and I actually hold a small amount of VeChain. I purchased some. I purchased some recently, actually. This was on the premium list, but I do own some VeChain. It's a small amount. It is a small amount. It's not like it's a lot, but I do own some of it. Because I own some of it, let's pull it up. Here we are. This is a coin I've joked before about Bella, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. If I had to add another coin, maybe it'd be Bella V. But VeChain is one to keep your eyes on, I think, in my opinion. I do have a small stack of it, and I'm excited to see where it will go. Another thing to consider with VeChain is the Ether valuation. Don't forget about the Ether valuation. Right? A low here, lows, and then peaks, lows. And then we also kind of have the middle band as well, where we sometimes get rejected from. So the VeChain valuation against Ether, I think, is also pretty important. Because a lot of times you might think like, okay, well, I want to buy either Ether or ADA, or Ether or VeChain. and then you go buy one, and then you're looking at the valuation of the other coin, and then you see that price going up, and you wish you bought that. But if the Ether value was going up more, and you bought Ether instead, then you can still go back and buy that coin later. That coin might be at a higher price, but because you bought Ether instead, you can buy more of it, even though it is at a higher price, because Ether outperformed it. So that's always consider the Ether valuation of the altcoin and the Bitcoin valuation of the altcoin. So yeah, I am bullish. I am bullish on VeChain. However, note that coins like VeChain and Cardano, and Dot and Link, if Bitcoin crashes, these coins would probably crash harder than Ethereum. So yes, they might have higher theoretical returns, but they also have more downside volatility. They have more downside risk. So while you might get a higher return, you are paying for that return with more units of risk or more units of volatility. Yeah, the baby's crying in the background. I have a lot of kids. I have 3 of them. I have a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 2-month-old. So someone must have mentioned XRP. Oh yeah, look, someone mentioned XRP. Nomadic Digital says XRP holders crying. But the thing is that he mentioned XRP. Maybe he mentioned it after the baby started crying, though. I never, I'll play it for you guys again. My 2-month-old sounds pissed. He sounds pissed. Remember my 4-year-old's non-financial advice. I'm not buying Bitcoin at these levels. I would love for it to go up. I'm not buying it at these levels. My 4-year-old's non-financial advice.
Buy Bitcoin.
Sorry.
Buy Bitcoin.
It never gets old to me. Whoops. So yeah, he seems pretty upset. Maybe he's okay now. All right, Bitcoin's back at 34K. Ethereum's at 1100. Someone says, "Sorry, just joined. Can we sum up quickly?" Should we, the sum of the live stream is that Bitcoin goes up and Bitcoin goes down, but it mainly goes up. I think that more or less sums up the live stream. Let's get to 83,000 subscribers. We've gone up by like 400 subscribers during the live stream. Let's get 400 more and we'll be at 83,000. There's a rumor that Bitcoin's ultimate peak is limited by the number of subscribers on the channel. I don't know if it's true, but just a rumor. Yeah, I don't know if you need still to buy at $6. I mean, it's starting to get up there. It's probably going to do well if altcoin season takes off. I think that's what it comes down to. I do own a little bit of the Uniswap governance token. Maybe at $6 is still okay. It's hard to say though, right? It always depends on Bitcoin. Definitely it was at $3 and $4 when we talked about it. At $6, it's not quite as clear. Lucas says, how far out into the future do the fair value peaks converge on the Bitcoin regression chart? Well, you have to remember that we'll have to refit them after each cycle. I mean, the fair value chart will need to be refit at the end of the next bear market. The peaks only take into account 3 data points, so there is a little bit more uncertainty in those. But if we didn't refit them, I think they would start to converge in about 20 years. What would I buy today if I had nothing and were new to the space? Maybe a time machine. It's really hard to say. I mean, getting some Bitcoin and Ethereum I think is a good place to start, but you'd have to be okay with a short-term loss because there's definitely a lot of downside risk right now. I would always start with Bitcoin no matter what, but you have to recognize there's a lot of downside risk at the current time. Yeah, we've talked about yeah, okay, you guys you guys are relentless. Here's theta. It's doing well. I know why you guys want to talk about it. It's doing quite well. From the bottom candle, it was at 6 cents, and now it's at 2.30. So it's moving quite quickly. Um, Again, as my philosophy has always been, you accumulate coins when it's time to accumulate them, but you do not chase pumps, right? You do not chase pumps. And while in hindsight, this would have been a good coin to accumulate, is not one that I accumulated, right? It's not. And I mean, back a year ago, it wasn't even in the top 20. Link was, ADA was, Bitcoin and Ethereum were. Obviously, they were the ones that they performed better than the rest of the coins in the top 20. Theta, when you're looking at much lower market cap coins, most of them don't do that well. And trying to pick out the one that does is really hard. Congratulations to those who bought it at 5 cents. That wasn't me. But it's hard to chase these things, right? Because if you go buy it now, and then if it does tank or something, then you look back at it and you're like, ah, man, I was the dumb money coming in at the top, right? In the same manner, it could continue to run, right? Maybe it continues the momentum. I just simply don't know. And for me, at this point, when it's up this much in such a short period of time, it seems like a high risk. It seems risky. That's not to say it can't continue running. Yes, do I wish I had bought it a year ago? Yeah, it would have been nice. I didn't do it. I'm not perfect, but I understand why people like talking about it. Right? It's been having a pretty good move over the last year. Someone said they got theta. Phil says he got theta at 16 cents. That's pretty good, man. Again, my philosophy on every crypto is you don't chase pumps. It doesn't mean you can't make money if you do. It just means if you chase enough pumps, you're going to get burned a lot of times. And my strategy is completely against that type of investing. My strategy is accumulating when it's quiet and then waiting for the explosive move. I didn't accumulate this one when it's quiet, so I don't get to benefit from the explosive move. I didn't take the risk here, so I don't reap the rewards up here. Right? It's as simple as that. For Bitcoin and Ethereum, I took the risk and now I'm reaping the rewards. For ADA, I took the risk. For Link, I took the risk. For Polkadot, I took the risk and I'm reaping the rewards. For some coins, I just don't take the risk on it. Let's get to 2,000 likes. Our current like to viewer ratio is about 50%. I think we can push that up to 2,000. Someone says, is Link still a buy at $14? It's hard to say. You know, I would say it's teetering on the brink. Teetering on the brink of whether that's a good buy or not. It could easily go either way, right? It's fairly overextended from its yearly low. But if Bitcoin calms down for a few weeks, then maybe Link will run. I would say it's 50-50. There's not a clear-cut answer on Link right now. I do own a lot of Link, but I'm okay with the downside risk. My highest buy on Link was around 11.89 or so. But I was buying Link at $1 and $2, and then I sold it at $18.50 over here. It was on the premium list, of course, but I did not time the top. And then I started buying it again at $7, which was also on the premium list, based on the Link USD risk level, right? That was what I was based on. So my cost basis on these buys, I think, is around $9, maybe around $9 or so. But that's just on those buys. I only sold 2/3 of my Link in the last run. So I still have some that have a cost basis around $2 or so, $1 to $2. But I'll tell you this. When it comes to Link, it knows how to print candles once it gets going. And whether it gets going now or in 6 months or in a year, I don't know. I really don't know when it's going to happen. My point is that I think it will happen at some point, and I don't want to chase it when it does. I want to have my stack ready for when it does move. Why does the logarithmic chart reduce gains over time? Is there a case for the upper trend to be of higher order? Well, a logarithmic chart implies that or the regression line implies, if it's logarithmic, it means the extended growth happened, the more accelerated growth happened earlier on, and then it levels off over time. And if you think about it in terms of price, it's a lot harder to move a coin with a market cap of, say, 100 billion than it is for, say, a 1 billion. Like, it's easy to go from 1 billion to 10 billion. It's easier to go from 1 billion to 10 billion than it is from, say, like 100 billion to a trillion. So you would expect the returns to diminish over time simply because of that. For those who like to say that returns don't diminish, I mean, I don't know what you're smoking, but maybe I should try some of it. Again, if you simply look at the bottom to top moves, right? I mean, I don't know if we should take it from this wick or not. Probably not. Let's take it from this one. This one was 100,000% move over 287 days. This one was a 53,000% move over 735 days. This one was a 12,000% move over 1,071 days. So we have 1, 2, 3. They're getting longer each time. Returns are diminishing. If the cycle doesn't get longer, it's fine. It just means it's breaking the trend. If the returns don't diminish, it's fine. It just means it's breaking the trend. We're just looking at the trend and saying the trend is that the returns are diminishing. To give you an idea of how absurd it is to say that returns aren't diminishing, if we were to take the ROI from the first cycle, 100,000% from market cycle bottom, and go up, to give you an idea of where that would put the price of Bitcoin, let's take a look. So that, is this 100,000? This is 100,000%. That would put the price of Bitcoin at $3 million. 3.071916. So for the returns to not diminish as measured from the first cycle, it would put the price of Bitcoin at $3 million. For the returns not to diminish as measured from the second cycle, it would put the returns at 50,000%, which would be about a $1.6 million Bitcoin, right? Which makes sense. It's just half of the other one. If it were to go to 12,000% from the bottom or so, around 12,000%, then it would put it at around 400,000. So a lot of people are saying 400,000, 300,000 because that is what the last cycle did. But if you were living through this cycle ultimately underperformed this cycle, which ultimately underperformed this cycle. Again, if it turns out I'm wrong and we get a $300,000 Bitcoin, so be it. We're just looking at the data. That's what the data suggests. If the data changes, the data changes. If the trend changes, the trend changes. The trend is your friend till the end. So my thinking is that we will have slightly diminished returns, and that will probably get somewhere around a $100,000 to $200,000 Bitcoin. And it probably won't happen in 2021. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've been wrong in the past a couple times. According to my wife, I'm wrong a lot more than that. But anyways, we just look at the data, we go with the data, and we go with what it suggests. If things change, they change. Someone says, what am I talking about when I say ADA is not going to $1? When did I say ADA is not going to $1? We even just talked about being on the journey from 2 cents to 20 cents or 2.5 cents to 25 cents and talking about the next journey to $2.50 that hopefully happens over the next several years, maybe even earlier. Why would I imply that it can't go to $1? If ADA couldn't go to $1, I wouldn't hold ADA. Do you think I'm going to get out of bed for a 25 cent ADA? No. I'm very bullish on ADA. I've always said I'm very bullish on ADA, and it's my primary hedge against Ethereum. I expect Ethereum to do very well. Ethereum is a safer investment. Ethereum should have really good returns. ADA hopefully has better returns than Ethereum, but it's going to have a lot more downside volatility. But if we take a look at ADA, it's coming in at a hot 26 cents. A hot 26 cents. Yeah, DOT too. I have DOT as well. I think DOT is a good... And DOT's not claiming to be a competitor to Ethereum in any way, but I think DOT's a good hold. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link ADA, and DOT, those are my top 5. If I had to explore beyond that, there are a few other coins that I have, and I've already mentioned some of them on stream. A word of caution, okay? A word of caution. I don't want to rain on anyone's parade. Word of caution. Remember, things will not go up forever. So if we get an alt season and the alt season lasts a few weeks before things come down to earth again, remember, you don't have to necessarily watch your portfolio crash all the time. Taking profits systematically can be a good thing. It doesn't mean that when you take profits, you expect the price to drop at that point. It just means that you recognize that, oh, you're up 10x, or you're up 15x or 20x. You can sometimes take profits, live to fight another day. Imagine you're able to, as everyone likes to buy, as everyone likes to DCA into the market, you can also DCA yourselves. Imagine that. And if you are able to systematically, dynamically DCA yourselves, which is what I do, and you come close to the peak, but maybe you don't time it exactly, but you say come close and you make 20 to 30x or 50x or whatever it is, and then you don't watch the portfolio valuation go down. Imagine a novel concept like that, right? Imagine that. And then you just put that money, instead of gambling on it because you think of it as the house's money, it's not the house's money, it's your money. I don't care if you made it, right? It's your money. It doesn't matter if you made it by working a 9 to 5 or if you made it by gambling on some speculative cryptocurrency. It's your money. It's not the house's money. Do away with that thinking. Because if, let's say you make $1 million and you're like, it's $1 million, I only put in 50,000, now it's worth $1 million. I'm just going to gamble $500,000 on it and on some random altcoin I've never even heard of, but that was shilled on Twitter or crypto Reddit. $500,000 is a lot of money. If that amount of money can change your life, think about it like that. It's your money. If that money were in your bank account, would you blow $500,000 of it on some obscure altcoin just because you didn't have that money a year before? Probably not. So my suggestion is if the market, it's already getting heated, make no mistake, and I have taken some profits myself, but if I still hold the majority of all the cryptocurrencies that I've been buying, but If the market gets even further heated and it's just exploding and your grandmother's asking you how to buy cryptocurrency, you don't have to ride the train back down. Okay, you don't have to ride it back down. You can get off at the next stop, look at your portfolio, maybe put it in a mutual fund for a few months. I know that's almost heresy to say that about, to people investing in crypto, but you can take the profits and put it in something lower risk for a few more months while you get accustomed to the new normal, right? You get accustomed to the new normal. It doesn't mean that necessarily everything you sell won't continue to go up, but banking profits and ultimately changing your life is a good thing. So you could bank some profits, putting in something lower risk, and then at some point you say, you know what? It's lower risk now. I'll put some of this money back into the market. Okay? I know it's a novel concept, right? But you don't have to ride it back down. And I'll tell you right now, taking profits is not a bad thing. I know you're going to come across a lot of people on Reddit and Twitter and YouTube that say to just hold forever. How many people in the chat held through 2018? How many people wish they had sold some? When you're selling in a bull market, you're always seen as like an idiot and you're like the dumbest person alive. But hindsight has a way of elucidating the truth. And if you're looking at something like Bitcoin in 2017, if you were the guy buying at $200 and then you're selling some at $2,000 and $5,000 and $10,000 and $15,000 and you didn't hit the top, but you took profits along the way, maybe people are saying, oh, what an idiot, right? This guy doesn't know what he's doing selling Bitcoin at 2,000. Don't listen to them. You're up 10x or you're up 50x or 100x or something, right? And you took the profits and now you live to fight another day, and then you take all these profits and you reinvest it the next time it crashes. So it's all about having a systematic strategy, not necessarily caring about the top, because no one can really accurately time it anyways. Everyone spends so much time worrying about exactly what they could have made if they invested bottom, sold at top, but there's only like one guy that identically sold the top, most likely, right? So it's just something to take into consideration. Taking profits is not a bad thing. And if you're in the chat, a lot of people probably experienced that move, right? That is not something you want to experience. If you at least took some profits along the way, then you can look back and smile and know that you made the most of your investment. Someone also said there's only one guy who bought the top. So, someone says taking profits is a sin. Hey, it's okay to have different perspectives. I'm just letting you know what mine is. We all want Bitcoin to go up. We all want Bitcoin to go up. We just recognize that there will be corrections along the way. Can you guys hear my baby crying again? Someone must have mentioned XRP. My background, I have a bachelor's in mathematics and a master's in nuclear engineering and a PhD in nuclear engineering. Do I buy gold and silver? I'm not buying any of it right now. I have bought some in the past, but as I said, the risk-adjusted returns on crypto for the last year have been much more attractive than precious metals. And also, generally speaking, stocks are a lot better than precious metals as well. Maybe you have some world philosophy that they're not, but again, the data would suggest otherwise, and I would prefer to go by the data rather than some narrative on why they're better. Someone says, what's a realistic correction? It all depends on how you measure it. I mean, theoretically, we just had a 20% correction from 34,000 down to 26,000. If you want to see an actual correction, I think a 30 to 40% correction is always on the cards, maybe down to the 20-week SMA. We just don't know when this is going to come. If it comes tomorrow, it might take us down to less than 20K. If it comes in 2 months, it might be over 20K by that point. No, I don't know if the correction will come tomorrow. I have no idea. The funny thing is, like, some people are saying, like, I like your philosophy on rational stuff rather than moon boy stuff. The thing is like, throughout, for many years, the rational thought process will be often the best. But then when you get into phases like this, and you have the rational thought, and then you have the moon boy type thought, and it's just like during times like these guys, they'll keep being right? They'll keep being right, and they'll keep saying things like, $300,000 Bitcoin, $400,000 Bitcoin, but when it doesn't happen, they just stop talking about it, and then they'll just say buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. But that doesn't really help anyone, in my opinion. So, yeah, if you're just constantly calling for a higher Bitcoin price right now, you'd be doing quite well. But there's a lot of times where that doesn't work out, and we will have a correction at some point, and we'll look back and say, okay, well, it makes sense we had one. We just don't know exactly when it's going to come. All right, you got to get rid of the spammers in the chat. What was my thesis on? It was molecular dynamics simulations of radiation damage in ceramics, and also using in situ transmission electron microscopy. Do you believe it'd be better to buy it's not an all or no. I mean, you can buy a mix of things. How do you handle crypto taxes? I use some software for it, and I also have an accountant. How often do I read Telegram? Too frequently. Crypto taxes, someone says they're classified as capital gains or losses when sold. It depends on what country you live in, and there are ways to trade crypto within the confines of an IRA. So there are ways, even if you live in the United States, to try to accumulate some crypto and trade it without having to pay taxes on it if you're doing it, say, in the confines of like a Roth IRA or something. How many points did I take to fit the bottom line of the log chart? It was hundreds. That's why it's better than the top one. My current job, I work in computational material science. But I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing this full time, starting in like a week or two. Crazy times right now. Let's see, Bitcoin's at 33.7, Ethereum's at 1,087, Link is at 1456, ADA is at 25.6, and DOT is at 985. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 83,000 subscribers. We're currently at 82,000, 82.6K. Let's go for 83,000. Make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 2,000 likes and turn on the notifications by clicking the bell icon. I will remind you, we also have a couple of Telegram chat rooms We have one with over 11,000 people. If you guys want to go talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, Polkadot, VeChain, anything above $1 billion or so in market cap. I just put the Telegram chat link there. And then if you want to go talk about micro caps, we have another chat room. So we have two chat rooms, Into the Cryptoverse, and then we have another one called Into the Cryptocosm. Into the Cryptocosm is for talking about your speculative micro caps. So I'll put that in the chat as well. So make sure you guys join that. If you want to talk about low market cap cryptocurrencies, you can go talk about them there, and you will be in good company. By the way, I also have another Telegram. It's just news. I'll just like post videos and stuff there. I'll put that in the chat in case you guys want to join it. But that one's not as important especially if you just get the alerts on YouTube or something. What other YouTubers do I follow? There's a lot of channels I like to watch. Have you guys? I've mentioned them before. They're not always crypto channels. Have you guys seen 3 Blue 1 Brown? It's a pretty good math channel if you like math. Hopefully everyone's enjoying their time in the cryptoverse these days. If you think about it, it's hard to know when you're in it, right? It's hard to know when you're in it, but you can see the change in slope, right? These were pretty substantial, and then we're starting to level off a bit. It's not quite as substantial now, right? Diminishing returns, lower volatility. We'll look back at 2020 and be like, wow, what a great year. But if you live through every step of the way, it might not feel like it's up as much. But we know that it's up 10x. And potentially room to go higher. But again, it's not financial advice. You got to figure out if it's worth it for you or not, and I can't tell you that. We don't talk about leverage trading here. One of the issues with leverage trading too is that, the opportunity cost is quite high. If you go leverage trade 1 Bitcoin and you lose it, and Bitcoin, if we operate deterministically and say Bitcoin is going to one day equal, say, like $140,000, a month ago, if you'd lost 1 Bitcoin, maybe it was only, or let's say 3 months ago, it was only $10,000. The opportunity cost on losing that Bitcoin, though, is very high, because now it would be worth $34,000. So there is a lot of risk to leverage trading. So we don't talk about that on this channel. I do talk about XLM, and I do own XLM, and I've talked about it on the premium list. Yeah, it's a fine coin. We just talked about it yesterday in a video. We talked about Stellar. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. I have higher hopes for other coins, but XLM probably will do okay. Someone says, how long is alt season? It varies. In Bitcoin, it can last a few weeks if Bitcoin volatility calms down. What are my top 5 coins again? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Cardano, and Polkadot. Someone says he lost 30% Bitcoin but gained 200% USD. I mean, if you had not lost that 30% Bitcoin, maybe you would have already gained that in terms of USD, because Bitcoin went up like 400% this year. Yeah, if you sign up for the premium list, you can cancel whenever you want. Again, you can find a link to that in the description below. Intothecryptoverse.com. No, Patreon and the website are the same thing, but you probably should do what the website. It's Patreon will charge you fees. I hope we can jump on a live stream soon when we watch Ethereum break the $1,400 barrier. Hopefully we make it there. It seems like it could happen in the next few weeks if Bitcoin doesn't get too crazy. Blaze says, which function did you pick in order to fit the bottom line on the log chart? I'll just draw it again. I mean, we actually did mention it earlier in the stream. We drew it. All right, so I think you're talking about that one, right? It's just 10 to the A times the ln of x minus b, and that is in parentheses. Yeah, XLM is having a pretty good day. I do know that. I mean, I do own a small amount of it. It's not a lot. It's about the same amount of VeChain that I own. It's not a lot. It's not my top 5 by any means. But I did pick up a little bit of it a couple weeks ago or so, or in December. So I didn't get the bottom down here, but I had other coins that were actually outperforming Stellar, so it's fine. But yeah, it's had a pretty good day, right? It's up like 25% or something. So this is one you want to keep an eye on as well. Might be something to keep an eye on. If it comes back up to that trend line, it'll be around 25 cents or so, 24 to 25 cents. Yeah, let's take a look at ADA. We got some movement, 26 cents. Thank you for being on the journey from 2.5 cents to 25 cents. Hopefully the journey from 25 to $2.50 will be just as much fun, although there'll probably be even more downside volatility if it makes it to $2.50. I love myself some ADA. One of the better performing coins this year, in fact. From the wick, from the bottom, I mean, it's up a modest 1,400%. Might be something to get out of bed for. You could write home about that. Let's take a look at DOT, 986. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin dominance. What's the Bitcoin dominance doing? Let's go to the 1 hour time frame. It has come back up a little bit. Let's go to the 1 minute time frame and see if so it's more or less going sideways right now after this pretty explosive move up, and Bitcoin went from like 32K to 34K pretty quickly. Now it's going sideways a bit. You can see that some altcoins are starting to make some moves. Bitcoin's still sitting humdrum at 34K. We have some coins like ADA going 26 cents. Stellars, it's flirting with 20 cents. Maybe we'll keep an eye on that and see if we kind of come back up to the top of this, which would be closer to 24 cents. I don't know if it'll make it there. I don't really know. You know, if you look at one of the things we've looked at before is the money supply, right? If you take the price of Bitcoin and divide it by the money supply, we only recently crossed the prior all-time high in the last week or so. Because remember, the money supply has gone up significantly since March. So you can see it's up 20% from where it should be, according to the trend line it was on. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 83,000 subscribers. Someone says, can I quit the live stream? You need to go make some money. ADA still coming in hot. 26.3, 26.2. I don't know what the hell we're doing looking at a weekly chart. That's a minute chart. When considering and investing, do you look at a coin as a project or just pure time series analysis? Believe it or not, I do look at it as a project. But I mainly, if it doesn't have, like, for instance, like Polkadot is an example, right? There's no history there. Like, why would I just throw my money into that coin? It's because I think it has a role to play this market cycle. Let's see. So yeah, ADA's actually been on a nice little run the last few hours. It's come all the way from 24.3 up to 26.3 or so. The local it actually hit 27. Well, did it? It says the days range it went up to 27, a little over 27 cents. Anyways, from the bottom at 1926, now we're at 2200. So about 2.5 hours. ADA is up 8%. Not bad for a 2.5 hours worth of work, right? 8% in 2.5 hours. I think that's something we can get on board with. 26.3. Again, I'm not buying ADA here, but if I didn't own any, I might consider it. But it's not financial advice. I own a lot of ADA. I'm not buying it here. Letting it ride. Ride and glide. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Yep, it's right. Would I buy DOT now? I'm not buying DOT now. I said we made several videos on DOT over the last few months saying that the accumulation range is between $3 to $6, right? In my opinion, that was the accumulation range. Now it's closing in on $10. So I would say it's much less clear if it's riskier, right? There's a lot more risk now. If I didn't own any, maybe I would pick some up, but you have to be okay for short-term downside risk if Bitcoin has a strong correction, or if Bitcoin just goes to 40K in the short term, DOT might underperform Bitcoin for all we know. So it's just something to take into consideration. I mean, speaking of, Bitcoin's at 34, back above 34 again. Let's switch over to, say, the 5-minute time frame. Yeah, so Bitcoin, I mean, it has been trending up the last few hours. Oh, 8 is still moving. 26.4, 26.5 or so. Are we gonna usher in a 27-cent ADA? It looks like, I mean, it looks like we already hit it, but I don't know when. How's my Litecoin buy doing? It's doing okay. Remember, Litecoin is one of those coins that will bleed against Bitcoin likely over the macro scale, so just recognize it for what it is. This is the Litecoin Bitcoin valuation, remember? So let's go look at a different exchange that has more history. Right, so this is the Litecoin Bitcoin trend. I think this is a key buying opportunity against Bitcoin potentially. But if we come back up to this macro trend line down, you might consider it. It's getting pretty risky at that point because it does tend to be bleeding against Bitcoin over the long term, but it does have these short-term bursts back up. So the current valuation of Litecoin Bitcoin is 0.00469. If we were to come back up to this trend line by, say, summer of 2022 or something, or earlier, it might put it at a valuation of 0.01, 0.013, 0.012. So let's say if it came to 0.01 at the current Bitcoin, let's say 0.012 because that's where it was at the current Bitcoin price of 34,000, that would put it at a $408 Litecoin, which is about the prior all-time high. If by the time it came to 0.012, if the price of Bitcoin were, say, 140,000, then that would put it at maybe a $1,680 Litecoin. Bitcoin's moving a bit again. It's up back to almost 34.2, which is only about $600 away from its all-time high of 34,800 or so, 34.8K. Someone said, what is that percentage-wise? Well, against Bitcoin, from the bottom, if we come back up here, it might be about 200%, maybe probably somewhere between 200 to 300% against Bitcoin. Maybe, right? Maybe. I own way more Bitcoin than Litecoin. I own a very small amount of Litecoin, but I have a little bit just in case this move plays out. I'm not ignoring VeChain. What are you talking about? We talked about VeChain earlier in the show. Someone says, why would I bet on Litecoin versus Bitcoin? I just showed you why, right? I just showed you why. It's because of that trend. Will it play out? Might not play out. If it does, it was the trend all along. Again, I hold way more Bitcoin than Litecoin, so if it doesn't play out, then so be it, right? But I mean, if it goes up 200% against Bitcoin, that could be a nice way to increase your Bitcoin. Someone, Isma says, why are we ignoring? And then in brackets, insert coin here. Yeah, that's how I feel all the time. Because a lot of the coins that people are mentioning are coins we actually covered. Yeah, sure. Someone said, can you look at Litecoin Ether? Well, this doesn't have as much data, but here's Litecoin Ether. I imagine the dominance has probably started trickling back up a little. Yeah, it has. We're back to 69.37, so we'll see what happens. I'll switch this over to like an hour time frame, see what's going on. So that's where we currently are. So who's enjoyed the Ethereum run in January against Bitcoin so far? Hopefully it continues, right? I mean, remember these moves can take weeks to play out, but hopefully it continues. But I'm curious who is buying Ethereum in December, waiting for this January move. What keeps me up at night more? The markets or my 1-year-old? Definitely the markets at this point. Yeah, I mean, we were buying Bitcoin and Ethereum all throughout the year, but I'm just curious if anyone was converting more USD to Ethereum or Bitcoin to Ethereum in December in anticipation of this move. If we get 70 more likes, we'll be at 2,000 likes. Can we make that happen? Remember to subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 2,000 likes. We have 3,000 viewers. We should be able to make it to 2,000 likes. Bitcoin still at around 34.2, but it seems to be trending up. Maybe we'll see it go up to 34.3 here soon. DOT's still hanging out just south of $10. Ethereum's at 1096. Bitcoin's making maybe a move to 34.3. We're about $600 away from an all-time high. We've been going 2.5 hours. This has been quite the stream. Looks like we're going to 34.3 here. Ether is starting to flirt with 1100. DOT still less than $10. ADA has actually come back down a little bit, back down to 26. Instead of 20, it hit like 26.4 a few minutes ago. Yep, Bitcoin just hit 34.3K, so we're now about $500 away from the prior all-time high. I mean, it could go to 40K. There's nothing necessarily saying it can't. I mean, 40K would certainly be a possibility. It's only like a 20% move or so. Someone says double top on the 30-second chart. Oh, I can't even look at seconds on this one. Can I? Will it let me? I guess I can. The double top, he says. Well, we'll see if he's right. I don't know if you're right. Looks like it's coming up. We're looking at a 34,357 Bitcoin here. Can we look at the 1 second chart? Oh, this is great. Oh, we have to look at the 1 second chart on stream. This isn't even the 1 minute chart. This is the 1 second chart. Maybe grab some popcorn or something and watch the 1 second chart for a little. 34,370. Oh, we're putting in new tops for the day. 34,393. We're about $400 off the all-time high. So we're about $400 away from the all-time high at 34.4. Ethereum's back over $11. ADA is still at 26. Oh, wow. That 1 second chart can get you. I've honestly never just sat and looked at a 1 second chart. It's a little entertaining. Here we go, a new local top for the day, 34,425. Ethereum's back above 1100 still. ADA is still at 26 cents. Link is still at 1465. You guys think we're going to put in a new all-time high today? You guys think we're going to put in a $35,000 Bitcoin today? Make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 83,000 subscribers. Oh, we went off the chart again. Look at this crash. Whew. A 0.27% crash over about 30 seconds. Yeah, it's a 1 second chart. We've never done this on stream. Someone said that double top on the 1 second chart. Someone says BBC News already reporting the huge Bitcoin crash. Oh, maybe Bitcoin died here, now it's living again, back up to 34.3. Alright, I probably need to go soon. Maybe we'll call it at the 3-hour mark. We're at 2 hours 46. For those who are just joining, we spent the first hour and a half actually talking about useful stuff. The following 30 to 45 minutes talking about like answering questions and whatnot. And the last 30 minutes or so just mindlessly looking at a chart with no real direction. Yeah, why don't we pull up some very important moving averages? Oh no, it's not letting me. I guess that's the 9-second moving average. Nice to see Ethereum back above 1100. I still think a $1,200 Ether would feel better, but we can't be sure until we're there. The risk level stuff, yeah, I don't explain that one. That's just my own formula stuff. Yeah, it's possible Bitcoin goes to 50K. Yeah, where are we? So we're at a market cap of 919 billion. So keep an eye on the market. Keep an eye on if we see the market cap go to 1 trillion. That would be a pretty significant milestone. I'm sure it would make some headlines. One second candles, what a degenerate. I guess I can't argue with that. We like to live on the edge sometimes, what can we say? We don't often venture out into 1 second candles, but when you do, it's after a 2.5 hour live stream and there's nothing else to talk about. Is this a dead cat bounce off the 1 second? Oh, we're getting close. We're getting close to 83,000 subscribers. We need another 120 subscribers and we'll be there. So make sure you guys subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 2,500 likes. See where Ether's still at 1100, so we're still well above the regression band. I think from the fair value of the regression band, we're at around over 200% overvalued from it, which is still pretty modest compared to where we have been in the past. A 1 second downtrend. We'll see if we break through. We're breaking through. Are we going up or are we still going down? Ethereum's sitting right at 1100. ADA is still, actually ADA's still doing pretty well. ADA's back at 26.3. Oh, yeah, here, ADA's doing pretty well. So again, we'll keep an eye on ADA as well. We got to keep an eye on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. Let's see where DOT is. DOT's at 982, not really doing a whole lot. Link is at 1477, not really doing a whole lot. We can just redraw the trend line. Let's pretend like no one saw that. Man, whoever called the 1 second double top, and congratulations. You should start your own YouTube channel. Would I mind doing a special video on ADA one day? We have a whole ADA playlist, my friend. Just go look at the playlist. We put out videos on ADA every 1 to 2 weeks. Are we going to get a double bottom on the 1 second chart, or are we heading lower? Man, can you guys, if we do hold it here, can you imagine what's going to happen at this point? In about a minute or two? Could be a pretty big deal. ADA is going up. So, again, if you're joining the stream now, we're just doing a bunch of BS stuff right now. This stuff is not valuable. If you want the actual content, watch the first hour and a half of the stream. That stuff is where that's where the value of this is. The second hour and a half, we're just kind of fooling around, not really doing much anything important. Just looking at 1 second charts. We are following the 1 second chart, and no, I'm not drunk. Guys, we're closing in. We're closing in on this key import. So we have the double top. This is the 1 second chart. We have the double top. We have the wedge down. We have the bottom here. We're converging. What's going to happen? What's going to happen here? Getting close. Most of these, statistically speaking, most of these break to the downside, but every once in a while they break up. We don't talk about TA that much on here because it's mostly useless in my opinion, but I'm just telling you guys what it is. Most of the time these break down. Sometimes they break up. This is the 1 second chart. It really means not much of anything. We are almost there. Which way are we going? We going up? Whew. Back up to 34.2. I told you this was a key point to look at. Ethereum just had a nice little pump too, back up to 1107, and ADA coming in hot at 26.5, 26.5 cent. I guess the entire crypto market was watching the Bitcoin 1 second chart. Nice little breakout. Link's still not doing much. Dot is, let's see, Dot's at 987. Ethereum's at 1105, 1106. Looking at the 1 second chart is pretty useless, but what else are we gonna do? We're gonna cut the stream off, I think, at 3 hours. We're almost there. Make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Maybe we'll get to 83,000 subscribers in the next 5 minutes. Nope, probably not. We're at 82.8. Give the video a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on alerts. Someone said I should dedicate a night to just drinking, watching the 1 second chart, and making ridiculous TA charts and predictions. They would watch it. Look at this massive breakout from the wedge. Yeah, we have the total market cap right here. We're definitely going to keep an eye on it breaking the $1 trillion mark, because that'd be pretty substantial, and I'm sure it would make some headlines. Nice to see Ethereum. Ethereum's moving back up. 1109. 1110. Can I get an 1111, make a wish? What about an 111111? Bitcoin's at 34.4. 1111. Alright, let's switch back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's coming back up. Are we going to have a triple top on the 1 second chart? Look at this TA. Man, I should do this instead of data science. I don't day trade, but if I did, I'd probably lose a lot of money. Back up. We're going to break it the fourth time. The fourth time's the charm. As they say, the fourth time. We'll see if we can put in a new top. We're closing in on it. We're about $350 away from a new all-time high. So we'll see if we can hit it on stream. Do you guys remember that time we talked about that double top and that breakout? Seems like so long ago now. Now we're moving up pretty quickly. Let's do some more BSTA here. We're moving up quickly. At this rate, we should be at 34,563 in about 1 or 2 minutes. Someone says it would not it would not be more productive if you trade on daily count. We're not. We don't. I don't trade this. I'm just goofing around. Oh, we've broken support. We're coming down a little. All right. Are we gonna hold? We're gonna hold our prior. No, we're not. We're coming down. A nice sell-off. Back down to 34.5. We're going to test this again. 34,426. We're coming back up to it. That's where we came down to. I'm getting back on track again. All right, we're only what we're 400 less than $400, $350 away. We're less than $350 away from the all-time high. Ethereum's doing well too. It's at 1115. ADA is still at 26. DOT is 992. Ether Bitcoin's doing okay. 0.0323. We're gonna break through or a double top. Here we go. So our local top for the day is now 34,487. So just over $300 to break the all-time high of 34,810. Ethereum's actually doing quite well. It's back to 1120, so we might want to keep an eye on that one. 1121. Its 52-week high is 1166, so it's really not that far away. Like, really not that far away at all. I honestly don't know why. I mean, I feel like this stuff is pretty useless. We're just having fun. All right, let's see if we can make it a run for the title at 34.8. Run for the title. We need 27 more subscribers to hit 83,000. So let's make it. Let's make it to 83,000 subs. Give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 25,000 likes. All right, looks like we're trying to break through here at 34, basically 34.5. Similar to what we did here, right? We just kind of pushed up against it for a while until we broke through. Now we're just pushing up against it for a while. Ethereum's a champ right now. I mean, it's almost more fun to watch Ethereum because it's going up quickly as well. 1123. I still have a ton of my Ethereum, so I want to keep an eye on this. 1122. Looks like we're coming back down a little. ADA is still doing its thing. Let's see if we get a 27-cent ADA. Maybe we'll even ring in a $10 dot again, but it still seems stuck at just shy of $10. Ooh. Oh, is Bitcoin dead again? Should we close shop, right? What's the point? We do have a Discord, but it's pretty inactive. I would say stick with the Telegram channel. That's where we're most active. Ooh, look at this capitulation. Someone's taking profits. Coming back up quickly. Right back up to there. Right back up to 34.5. Let's see if we break it now. Ah, rejected again. Why don't we look at the 1 second charts more often? This is fun. Ethereum's at 1120 or so. It looks like Bitcoin wants to break 34.5 so badly. I feel like Ether Bitcoin must be going up right now. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Ether Bitcoin, the Ether Bitcoin valuation's moving up on this nice Bitcoin, this short-term Bitcoin move. So if Ether is really performing strong right now. I mean, it was bleeding some, right? It bled a lot here, but now it has come back up in the last few minutes. Because I was watching it and it was going to like 1120. All right, it's coming back down a little. Yeah, the daily close is in a little over an hour. This has been a journey. This has been a journey. We're coming back down. Make sure you guys subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Not sure why you want to watch me watch a 1 second chart, but it seems interesting. There's a decent chance we break the all-time high today. Maybe we go to 35K in a little bit. What is this, a time chart for ants? We're gonna get rejected down. See, let's check in on Ether. Ether's still doing pretty well here, 11.17. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to go on too much of a run until Bitcoin gives some, a little bit more clarity on what Bitcoin's doing. But if Bitcoin can calm down, right? The analogy I usually give is that Bitcoin is like a dog. Oh, looks like we have gotten shot down, just down to the bottom here. Let's see if we come back up. We have another wedge here. All right, maybe this is our breakout point. Let's see what happens. Straight up to the trend line, straight back down. We're coming in hot in about 30 seconds. Oh, we didn't even make, oh, we're back in, fake out. Coming into the, let's see which way we go. Do we break up or do we break down? It looks like it froze. Okay, we're going up. Things are bullish when the descending wedges are always breaking up. All right, this one came up, and this one also came up. We're breaking through here. We've sat there for a few seconds and now we're coming up. Now we're there. Still have a ways to go to get to a new all-time high. We got to go up another $450 or so. Let's just keep drawing trend lines. This one doesn't really work. Breaking through it. Let's see, our Ethereum's still at 11.16, 8 is still holding strong, DOT's still just shy of $10, and Link is at 14.80. Let's just redraw that one, no one saw that. Let's take a look at the trend angle, which of course depends on the aspect ratio. So that is 129 degrees measured that way. This, whoops. 121 degrees. If you're new to the channel, this is not what we normally do. We normally actually talk about useful things. Watch the first hour and a half of the live stream. It was a little bit more useful than what we're doing now. ADA's still at 26.3, so DOT still less than $10. Link still less than $15. Ethereum is doing pretty well, but I feel like Bitcoin is what we want to watch. Look at this journey we've been on. I'll be back in a second. All right. Well, we have to come to an end. I need to go pick up my 4-year-old from school, so we will wrap it up there. If you guys like the content, subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. We made it to 83,000 subscribers, so we gained like 700 subscribers during the stream. Anyways, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe. We do have the premium list if you guys want to join that. It's intothecryptoverse.com. And then make sure you guys check out the Telegram channel. I'll put that in the comments as well. And we'll also do the microcap Telegram channel as well for people who want to join that one. All right. Someone else, you guys can take over on the 1 second TA. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Let's just check back, see where things are. Make a wish. Ethereum's at 11.11. ADA is still at 26.2. Link at 14.73. And DOT is less than $10 still. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.